Guys, smell that? News at noon. This week, the European Union is seeking to take on the big tech bros hanging out Silicon Valley. The Digital Markets Act, which just began November 1st, will seek to break open the walled gardens of large tech companies in an attempt to create a more even playing field for developers. Gerard de Graaf, an EU official who helped pass the Digital Markets Act, wants to give you the ability to download apps from not just the App Store, but from other app stores, like the Android store or the whatever store. This comes hot on the heels of similar lawsuits we've seen recently against Apple with regards to everyone's nephew's favorite game, Fortnite. Fortnite, guys! As well as other suits against other tech giants. De Graaf is expecting a wave of lawsuits against the new EU rules and has responded saying, "You may not like it, but that's the way it is." Truly, our knight in shining EU armor. Big techies might also have to brace for a second EU law, dubbed the Digital Services Act, made in an effort to help protect consumers by disclosing details about automated decisions, as well as mandating companies to perform risk assessments. Europe has also been facing harsher issues with climate change, as temperatures rise faster there than in any other region. According to a new State of the Climate in Europe report from the World Meteorological Organization, or WMO, try saying that 3 times really fast. Skyrocketing temperatures have increased more than twice the global average over the past 30 years, or about 0.5 degrees Celsius per decade, which may not seem like a lot, but those grapes over in France are tasting pretty sour, which in turn makes the world a lot less happy. Furthermore, wildfires in the EU this year have quadrupled the 15-year average, along with record-breaking heat waves, exceptional droughts, as well as some of the most destructive floods the continent has ever seen. The good news is that the new year's right around the corner, so hopefully they don't roll a 1 again this year. Doesn't have to be a nat 20 or anything, but just not a 1 again. Back here in the finger-licking good USA, Joe Biden delivered a speech Wednesday night, a week ahead of the upcoming midterms, asking us to stand against political violence, and at the same time denouncing the January 6th Capitol attackers as a group whipped into a frenzy by the then President Donald Trump. That guy does say a lot of stuff though, a lot of very beautiful stuff, some of the most beautiful stuff you've ever seen. Regardless of who you support, don't forget to get out there and vote this upcoming midterm election. The 2018 Parkland school shooting gunman Nicholas Truce has been officially sentenced to life in prison without parole after a jury unanimously recommended the death penalty. The exact future of the 24-year-old is still unclear, as Truce undergoes physical and mental examinations to be placed in the proper Florida Department of Corrections. The Broward County Sheriff's Office released more than 30 pages of writings and drawings created by Truce, in which he stated that he wanted to go to death row and that he hoped to die of a heart attack by taking painkillers or through an extreme diet. In Ethiopia, the Ethiopian government has signed a formal truce with the Tigrayan forces on Wednesday, a breakthrough agreement after 2 years of war. The conflict began in November 2020 when Tigrayan soldiers took control of the military bases across the Tigray after months of disputes with the central government. The fighting resulted in the EU's budget support freeze and the United States' suspension of Ethiopia's preferential trading status due to human rights abuses Ethiopia committed. Consequences are felt across the region through countless loss of life, famine, and badly damaged infrastructure. Senior Russian military leaders have recently had discussions on when and how to use tactical nuclear weapons in Ukraine. While Russian President Vladimir Putin has publicly stated that nuclear weapons would not be used in a speech last Thursday, U.S. officials are on their toes watching the situation, with John F. Kirby, an official from the National Security Council, stating that we continue to monitor it as best we can, and we see no implications that Russia is making preparations for such use. So while you're padding out your fallout shelter, you can rest easy, knowing that at least the big dogs in the American War HQ think we should be all right. And just to clarify, we are talking about tactical nuclear weapons here and not intercontinental ballistic missiles, which are slightly different yet similarly terrifying. However, yesterday alarms rang in Japan as North Korea fired at least one unidentified ballistic missile Thursday morning local time. The missile was reported to have passed into the Pacific Ocean around 7:48 a.m., but undoubtedly spooked the neighbors. The missile is just one of many in a barrage fired earlier this week, following a large-scale joint military exercise involving the United States and South Korea, dubbed Vigilant Storm, which sounds like the name of an energy drink you'd get at a gas station. Probably shouldn't drink those. This was the highest number of North Korean short-range missiles fired in a single day that landed near South Korean waters since their split, South Korea responded by firing 3 air-to-surface missiles back towards the general North Korea area, like 2 kids throwing rocks at each other. Expensive, exploding rocks. In medical news, a recent trial has put the fun back in fungi, as the psychedelic compound Psilocybin has shown a statistically significant improvement towards the remission of depression. Patients undergoing the trial reportedly listened to a calming playlist and wore eye shades for at least 6 hours while they went a magical space journey. Supervised by a therapist, of course. This is great news for mushroom lovers because hopefully I won't be judged as hard the next time I go to pick up my favorite shiitakes at the local grocery store. The Federal Reserve announced yesterday that it would be raising its short-term borrowing rate by 0.75% in an effort to tame this crazy inflation. Stocks were also in the red, with all 3 major indexes, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Dow Jones, all dressing up as my favorite color Power Ranger. Speaking of inflation, this episode is getting quite expensive, and our low budget seems to be stretched quite thin, like the buttons on the dress shirt of that one muscle man you follow on Instagram. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Come back tomorrow for more of that sweet news and news.